Hi guys, I'm Chris with Old Street Solutions.
And I'm Tom, the technical guy at Old Street.
And today we're going to talk about how much Jira has grown beyond the technical teams it was originally designed for, how ubiquitous it's becoming, and now it's a tool for every team. And with that growth, how much more important it is to make sure everyone can easily put their data in Jira, easily make reports from it, and share it with the wider team. So to that end, I'd like Tom to show some of the reports we use at Old Street Solutions, and we're going to demo exactly how we share those reports with each other. Hopefully you find it useful for your own success.
Brilliant. So yeah, let's get started. It's not just going to be a straightforward demo. It's going to be talking through a story, hopefully something that a lot of people can relate to. It's that there's a lot of data in Jira. You and your teams have spent a lot of time doing the work and putting data into Jira, and now you want to visualize it. You want to see the results of your work. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now, and we're going to go through some examples. So out of the box today, this is what you'll see. So this is a basic Jira dashboard reporting. And what we've got here is a pie chart, a two-dimensional filter, and this is an average age bar chart. Now, this is what you get out of the box, and I'll start by saying that data is only as useful as how much you want to use it. So if you feel proud and about having this on your wall and you want to walk into a meeting and show people this, then that's great. But data is more engaging, and it shows the amount of care and effort you put into the work creating the data when you're displaying it. So let's look at how the same dashboard can look with custom charts for Jira. Now, straight away, it just looks nicer. And this is the first thing I'll say. Everything we're going to go to onto after this is talking about how it's easier to make and how it's better for your teams. But it's no good if it's easier to make and better for your teams if it's ugly and no one wants to look at the charts. So just as a first point, it's important to build something that you actually enjoy looking at and you're proud to show to your teams. That's the first hurdle in trying to get people to understand what you're doing, agree with your decisions. Cool. So let's go through some examples then and talk through this as a bit of a story. So I'm going to jump onto this interactive app playground, and this is something we're going to be using in our workshop later on. I'm going to start with this because it will talk you through how to use the app and kind of explain how we're going to work with it. So firstly, I'm just going to jump into the editor and talk about this. Here we go. So the story I'm going to go through now is that Chris and I are on a team, and as a team, we're about to have a meeting with our managers or the people we work with, and we want to show them our progress. And we want to show them just a simple sprint report. We want to show them how many story points we're getting through over the last few sprints. Now, there are other ways to show that using built-in Jira charts. You can have burn-down reports and various ways of displaying that data. But we're going to do it with custom charts to show you how that gets done. So we're going to start with a bar chart, because that's a 1D bar chart, very simple. We're going to chart by sprint in this case. So the data we're displaying is all issues. And that's okay if you have a filter saved. But in this example, we're going to go through and say we only want it for a particular project. We want it for project unicorn. And this is perfect for me because I know JQL, and this is easy. But in a minute, we'll explain, well, what if you don't know JQL? And that's what Chris is going to help us with.
Yeah, that's me.
So here you go. We can see now we've got a chart that's showing us the sprints. You can see that there's no issues, no story points with no sprint, which is great. But we don't want to see that on the chart. So what we can do is we can either delete the segment or we can just hide it. And with that, we know that when it reappears, it's going to be red. So we've got that as a warning if we see red. And again, now we've got all the percents, but maybe we don't want to see those, so we're just going to turn those off. There you go. So really simple, just to get you started, an explanation on saying, okay, now I can see the number of story points. That's what we're counting by, not just by the number of issues, but by story points per sprint. So you can see how much work you're getting through in each sprint. Okay, that was a really simple example. So now we're going to go through this again and just talk about how you'd actually build these charts and why it's important to make it easy to do so. So let's jump back to the built-in Jira reports and see what the options are. Now, with this pie chart, it's just going from biggest to smallest, and the colors are always the same, but they're always the same. Blue is always the biggest, which I guess is helpful if the data never changes. But let's look at the options here. So all you can do is select the project or filter and the statistic type, so status in this case. Again, that's very limited. You don't actually get much choice, and you can have it auto-updating. So that's what you get. Now, if you as a team value the data you put in and the work and time and effort, let's see how we can make that a bit more custom using custom Jira charts. So we can do this on a pie chart, but I think it's more visual to see it on a bar chart. So if we look at the ordering, this is a really simple one. Process flow. If you as a team are working through issues and you want to see, for example, the number of issues in each status, you might not want it just in size order. You want to actually see the work progressing in the same way you have a Kanban board or a sprint board. So let's just reorder these now. We've got the backlog, that's how the team starts working. We're going to move done to the bottom, and we're going to move closed below that. We've got in review and in progress. We're going to put those together and blocked. So we're not too interested in seeing blocked in this particular report. It's not helpful for the people we're trying to have this presentation for. So what we're going to do is simply hide it. There you go. Okay, so now that's gone. We also want in progress and in review. As far as the stakeholders concerned that we're going to talk to, we don't need those to be two separate statuses. Now, there's no simple way to do that built into Jira. You could create some clever save filter maybe, but the simple thing we're going to do with custom Jira charts for Jira is just merge them together. So you've got in progress, and then we're going to type in review, and there you go. It's pulled in that other status and merged them together. And you can see you've got in progress and in review here. Again, the actual statuses don't mean much to our stakeholders. They just want to see what our work in progress issues are at the moment. So we're just going to rename that to WIP. And there you go. So you can see what's our backlog. When you hover over it, you can see the status underneath. You can see what's been done and resolved and what's been closed. So there you go. Straight away, we can now save this to our dashboard and go into our meeting with our stakeholders and say, here's what we're working on. Here's what's, for example, in our active sprint.
And I think you alluded to it earlier, Tom. What's really important is then the colors are consistent, right? So if I had a RAG status chart, I wouldn't have to explain, oh, yeah, I know this is a RAG status, but red actually is represented here by blue. and green is represented by purple. The consistent colors is really useful because people can just, the point of a dashboard up in the corner of a room is to look at it at a glance. You understand what it means, right?
Definitely. And you shouldn't have to explain it. If people should just understand it, and then you can talk about the meaning behind the numbers and the colors. You don't want to have to spend half your time explaining how to read your report. Okay, so we've got our report in this example here. We've got our RAG status, as Chris just suggested, so you can see all the different issues. If we do want to drill down in the meeting, we can actually just click on any of those segments or bars, and it will take us straight to that information. Great, okay. So now I've shown you how to build some charts very quickly. Again, as Chris was saying, if we do want to change the colors, we do have a color picker, and you can pick really specific ones if you want it to be on brand for your reports. And custom branding, again, it's, companies pay a fortune for branding and marketing. It seems crazy that they can't do that in their reports in Jira. So you want it to be as easy as possible. Okay, so that's an example of why you want reports to build reports for your meeting and why you want them to look good. But now, and this is the question I can see coming from Chris already.
Yeah, so a big problem we've had in the past is who actually can make these reports, right? So you're and the whole of your development team very, very busy, and sometimes we just want a quick snapshot view of what you're up to and to be able to see that report. And sometimes I want to be able to make a simple report myself, and I'm not an advanced JQL user, so who can make these reports?
Yeah, and this is a big problem. Who can make the reports? So if we go back to Jira, built-in Jira reports, sure, almost anyone can make these reports. There are literally two options, and that's it. So there is an advantage to be able to make quick reports, but there is also a middle ground. If you go to the other end of the spectrum and you look at, say, EasyBI, that's an incredibly complex and very powerful tool, but only the select few, only the chosen ones can actually make reports quickly. And the problem you're going to find is the people that use EasyBI to create reports slowly. So if you have a team of even really clever developers that are great at working with all these complex features, but if they're spending 3 or 4 hours making a report in a tool like EasyBI, unless it's their full-time job, you've lost them working on productive features for whatever they're supposed to be doing. So it's also understanding just because somebody can use a complex tool doesn't mean it's the best thing they should be using. So let's look at the sweet spot then for custom charts in this example, is how easy it is for anyone to make them. So in the example I gave before, I used JQL. Now, Chris might be able to create a filter for himself, but even then there's quite a few technical hurdles to creating a filter. You have to write the query or use the basic searcher. You then have to save it and hope that Chris understands permissioning in Jira and how he has to then save it and then share the filter with the correct team and hope that that's relevant in all future people he shows the chart to. So I'm assuming Chris doesn't know that, which is fine. So let's see how we can make it even easier. So for this, I'm going to jump across to Confluence because custom charts is available in Confluence and Jira. And this is just an interesting bit of history from when we started the app. It was originally a Confluence app. And the reason was because we spoke to a lot of people and they said that they view their data in Confluence. And
well, this is it. I don't use Jira day to day, right? Like, whereas I'm often in Confluence.
Exactly, and stakeholders they create their reports and they want to just stick in a little chart saying, here's what we did this week, and here's a bar chart with a live, up-to-date, clickable, interactive, easy to build interface. So this is the Confluence version. It's identical to the Jira one, all the features built into Confluence. So I'm going to show you how this works now. So what we've got here is, this is the custom charts app. And when I click edit, you'll see it's exactly the same as what you just saw. But you can see here it's connected to a simple search macro. And this is the powerful bit. This is the really useful feature. And this works on server, data center, cloud, everywhere. And what you do is rather than selecting a save filter or JQL, you select simple search macro. And if you've created one and put it on the page, and it's really simple, you can just add it to the page like that, and it'll open up. So we've already got one here. So we'll just open this up and show you. And what we've got is, this is showing Project Unicorn by default. So now we're going to jump onto the publish page. We're going to look at the page and see, there we go. So this is showing all issues in Project Unicorn. Now, Chris, without knowing any JQL, has just created a chart and said, cool, I want to see all the issues in Project Unicorn. Cool. But what actually, if he only wants to see, bugs in Project Unicorn? Well, we're going to click search now, and there you go. Again, no JQL, all connected, a couple of clicks, and you can see there's one bug in backlog and one in progress. And Chris could then simply click on the one that's in progress and start talking about that. And this is saying, make sure no one's allergic to nuts. The playground is a way to bake cookies and make cups of tea because we're terribly British at Old Street and we can't help ourselves. So this is the really simple example. If you do want to add more fields, so for example, if we wanted to extend that and you wanted to look at, for example, like we had before, sprint. In this case, we'll go for, because there aren't sprints in this project specifically, but if we look at labels, for example, is a good one. If we look at something with one of these labels, we can have multiple ones. There might not be any in this case, but if we remove bug, let's just show you how interactive it is. There you go. So now we can see these labels are in this status and one is blocked. So again, we could look at that. So it's also an interactive issue searcher. So a lot of people, if I jump onto the actual Jira searcher itself, this is what we're comparing it to, the basic searcher. So this is how you could use it. You could create a search here, as we just did. So we could do unicorn, we could do type bug again, and you can see the two issues. But this isn't a visualization of the data, whereas with the charts, you can still see all that. You can have that extra dimension, extra layer added in. Cool. Okay, so that's
brilliant. If you're not around, right? Very simple. Even I can do that.
Exactly.
But I know that this tool isn't just for basic users, right? Like, show me what's there for the more powerful users, right? So people that are not even just using JQL, but using advanced add-ons that make even more fancy JQL. What can we do with that?
Exactly. So let's talk about that. So again, in Jira, one of the gadgets that I use quite a lot is this two-dimensional filter. And this is really useful because you can display, in this example, these are our support tickets, and you can see all the statuses by what hosting platform they're on. Really useful to be able to drill down into that and get some more information. But this is the one that comes with Jira. There's no ordering or sorting. You just get stuck with this. So here is a two-dimensional table that we have with the custom charts. And what we've got here is the counts and the percents for this, all the different statuses: backlog, in progress, blocked, and finished. And these are the different projects. So it's 2 dimensions of data displayed on the chart. And all the features you just saw before doubled up again. So nothing too advanced yet. I'm just easing you in, Chris. Don't worry, we'll get there. So the next step is custom JQL. So what if everything you've seen so far, you say, great, I can chart by a bunch of custom fields here. But what if you want more than that? And that's where custom JQL comes in. So for any power user that said, cool, it's just pretty colors and drag and drop, well, this is for you. So this is an example using dates. But as you can see here, when you add a new segment, what you can do is you've got a full JQL editor here. So we need project with autocomplete, project equals support in this case. And there you go. I'm just going to change the color, something else like that. And there you go. So anything you can write JQL for using any add-on, Scribner, any add-on at all, if you can write JQL to find a subset of issues, you can now display it on a chart, which is really powerful in one dimension as you're seeing it here. But when you add that to the two-dimensional table, and we say, we're going to jump back to here. Again, we're going to, instead of project, we're going to do saved filters in this case, just to show you how you can use saved filters as well. We're going to jump to the group by. We're going to add a saved filter. We're going to add another saved filter. And there you go. So now you can see that we've used custom JQL. So this doesn't have to just be all issues, but it could be all issues with this person, with this label. So multiple queries, but all against something simple like status. So it's this layering of functionality, and particularly when you look back and see, oh, well, we can still rename everything. We can still rename the filters if we want to directly on the chart. We can drag and drop to rearrange. We can customize them. We can change the colors if we want colors. So it's this layering of features, which means that for the basic user, you've got 30 seconds and you've got a pie chart. You can show your team and your stakeholders, just throw it on a page. But if you do want to dig down and have some more advanced features, then something like custom JQL is really, really powerful.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think the key here is you can see how easy it is to build up reports across projects, which is what that collaboration is all about, right? Not just having the information siloed in individual teams, but anyone can check on if they have the right permissions. Anyone can check on what other people are up to.
And this is something we're actually working by at Old Street. It's not just here's some best practice, good luck. We work by this every day. We have our support dashboard that we sit and look at. And as I described it to Chris, it's about democratization of data. So it's not about having everyone putting data in and then a gatekeeper deciding who can see what. And the problem with Jira is that it is a bit of a spreadsheet, effectively. It's just a long list of issues. And what would be nice is that people visualize their work in different ways, and having a dashboard that's consistent, that automatically updates. We've got the auto refresh, so it's constantly updated. It's where people want it, so it's either
particularly for support, right? Like it would be great to see it be the color red when there's a problem, and when there's an extra support ticket that flashes up.
For me, I've been conditioned out of the corner of my eye. If I see a light blue, if I see teal, it flashes up, and I know that that's a triage ticket, and I'm going to look at that straight away. So it's this conditioning as well that is really important, and it's an undervalued part of your process, and particularly being able to show the charts everywhere. So again, if some people prefer to see it in Confluence when they open their reports and their pages there, and they feel more comfortable, it's actually getting more value from your team. If you've got PMs or less technical managers, and it tends to be people with less time as you go up, CEOs don't have time to be explained their reports. Oh, here's what this color means today, sir. So sorry about that. If they can just look at it and see, cool, red means red every day. It's a simple thing, but if it saves them time to
green
look at
is
it,
good, right?
yeah, and it saves you time if you're not having to export all of your data to Excel and then you hoping that it works this time and nothing's changed. Whereas using a reporting tool like this means that anyone can use it. And if someone leaves your company that has made this amazing Easy BI report, that's great until you want to change it. And then nobody can. Which is also, the comparison we use is Scribner versus automation for Jira. So Scribner is amazing, unbeatable in terms of versatility and utility, but it's very much a gatekeeper app. So only a very small number of people can use it, and those people become complete blockers. No one else can change the scripts easily. It's very hard to maintain and manage.
And sadly, those people are the people whose time is the most valuable, so you don't want to bother them, right?
So if anyone can build reports and anyone can create the dashboards and the pages they need, then democratizing data gives everybody more time, and it gives the most valuable people their time back.
Speaking of democratizing data, I know we're running tight on time. So is there anything else quickly you want to show us? Or should we hand it over to questions and see what sort of reports people want to make themselves?
Definitely. So I'm happy to hand over to questions now. If you do have any more questions, we will be running the workshop later on so we can go through in a lot more detail. This is custom charts as you see it today. So we do have a bunch of more features like stacked and grouped bar charts, line charts, dates. All of these will be coming in honestly the next few weeks and months. So it's very quick development cycles, which is why we're able to churn out features that people actually want.
Brilliant. Thank you. Look forward to all your questions. If you want to ask them here and the workshop we're having later on today or in our Slack channel. I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, everyone.